a report from Jeff Poo at The Information details some of Apple's plans for the iPhone 17 line
Oh my God.
in 2026. The biggest piece of news here is that the Plus phone is going away. So the fourth phone in the lineup has once again failed.
It's the curse of the iPhone Mini.
So
Ha-ha.
Apple is going in a completely new direction and working on something that the Information Jeff is calling the iPhone 17 Slim. The Slim model would sit...
It's going to be Air. It's going to be Air, Mike. It's going to be Air. iPhone Air. It's going to happen.
Maybe. Let's go through this first, and I'll say why that doesn't necessarily land with me.
All right.
So this Slim model would sit between the Pro and Pro Max in screen size. Now, interestingly, Jeff's article references the 15's screen sizes, but then there's these new rumors of the 16 making it bigger, so let's just say between for now.
Okay.
It would be significantly thinner than any other iPhone model and would have a higher price tag than the Pro Max.
Ooh.
That's why the Air thing I'm not so sure about, because it will be the most expensive iPhone.
Right.
Because it will be
thin.
super slim. Which could be quite luxurious as an idea. Now, interestingly, this gets weirder to me. The 17 Slim, and the 17 Pro will be made from aluminium with a design that is, quote, more complex. Whatever that means. And the Pro Max will retain titanium. And that phone will have a narrow dynamic island using a technology called MetaLens. And this new design in general, so that this new design that all of these phones will have, will feature rear cameras centered on the device rather than in the corner.
Whoa.
This is
That's wild.
Really weird report. Like, there's so many weird things in this.
It's so strange.
The slim iPhone, middle size-wise, more expensive, made from aluminium, which is weird. Like, that's weird to me. I'm assuming the 16 Pro will be titanium, but I guess if they do have a new design, you could maybe, like, re-talk about the materials again, but then why does the Pro Max retain titanium? Maybe that phone's going to be different. Like, I guess it's going to look different on the front, so maybe it will have more than that. I am on board with let's try the fourth phone again, though. Like, I think that to me is a good idea because
I agree.
They're clearly struggling to land that, and I would say that smaller or bigger but not the nice one, neither of those are compelling enough stories, I think, for a large amount of people. I think like a really thin, beautiful iPhone, maybe that would be a USP of its own.
Right.
But then it's really weird for it not to have the most features, but it be more expensive. It's going to be a strange lineup, like that's for sure, if this all comes to pass.
I like, from a marketing standpoint, like a marketplace standpoint, I like the idea. Like, we tried the small phone, we tried the big phone in the low end set.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we try an ultra premium phone, a luxury phone that's above the pros? Why don't we go up there? Because I'm sure Apple feels like there are some buyers for whom money is essentially no object, and a beautiful iPhone that costs $2,000 but is super luxe and amazing and thin and feels like the future is there are people who will buy that, right? There are people who will buy that. And maybe that is more, maybe being in that muddy middle as the fourth phone out of four that's kind of different but not really is a loser, because the Pro has a clear selling point and the Pro Max has a clear selling point. And the base model has a pretty clear selling point. And then the odd one out that's just differentiated by size seems to have not worked either time. So go upscale and shoot for something that's like, I mean, it feels, Mike, I really get iPhone 10 vibes from this as well.
Yes, I do
Like,
too.
what if we made the future phone and it was really expensive, but we just made it and sold it for a lot of money?
Well,
but
really expensive
we could do it
and
now.
beautiful, right? Like,
and
we
beautiful.
make
Yes.
almost a piece of jewelry and charge you a lot of money for it, which is kind of what the
Right.
iPhone 10 felt like at that time.
The iPhone 10 was like, oh my God, this is not like any other phone. It costs what? But it was so different and felt like the future. And I could see them selling an expensive iPhone model that felt like the future, that was not a Pro or a Pro Max. It was a different thing. It was a different size, different thinness, different weight. Maybe has some other different technology things on it. I mean, they've got all sorts of market research and stuff, but just as a person on the outside hearing this idea, I can see why this idea might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Because you might find many more available buyers up there. I think that's been one of Apple's lessons, right? Is that Apple has learned to reach people who have smaller budgets for phones with older models and with the SE, and they have had success with that. But I mean, I would assume the Pro Max has taught them that there are some people for whom the price doesn't matter, and they just want the best iPhone.
I think for Apple as a business, it makes the most sense to have 4 distinct models. 2 of them are very expensive. Like, I just think that it makes sense to them.
I mean, they may learn that there is a limit to that, or the product might not tick the boxes. But I'm trying to imagine a buyer who does not care so much about the money, but really wants a gorgeous, amazing, talked about phone. And this is, I mean, honestly, Myke, when we talk about Apple's phone sales over time, it's often this kind of phone that spurs sales around the world. Yeah. Not just China, but China's one place where you could get a great advantage here. But around the world, if there's an appreciably different, new-looking iPhone, and it costs, there are a lot of people who just buy it because they don't care. Like there are a lot of people. It's like, okay, it's $2,000, whatever. Like they don't care. What they want is And for those of us who are cheapskates, and are like, oh man, I'm gonna. The fact is, Apple has an audience that contains a lot of people who just want the amazing, coolest, greatest looking Apple product. And so, yeah, I would. If I was at Apple, I would try this for sure, right? Because this may be an untapped market. It's that classic, like, whatever your most expensive product is, there are some people in your audience who would have paid even more. And are there enough of them for you to make a product for them? And something like this sounds like exactly that.
And I hope we get 4 distinct names. So, like, the Pro Max becomes Ultra, and then this gets its own name. And then we have, like, the iPhone 17,
that would
the
be
iPhone
nice.
17 Pro, the iPhone 17, we'll call it Slim, and the iPhone 17 Ultra.
Especially if they're differentiating the Pro Max with something like titanium and things like that.
And
like
it
really
different.
Is a different phone.
Yeah, it's a different phone. I mean, it's been that way for a while anyway, and it seems like they're going further in that direction. And I just think as someone who is interested in just talking about these things, 4 distinct iPhones that fit 4 different markets feels more intriguing to me than we're going to take the line, split it in half, kind of replicate the 2, and they're going to have different features. Like, the Plus got lost. I forget it exists most of the time. And clearly the Mini did not sell what they needed. Otherwise, it'd still make it. So I think this is a very interesting idea.
The other way to go would be you have a 17. Again, keep in mind, we're talking about 2025 here. It's 16 months away. 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max, and 17 Ultra. And the new phone is the Ultra. Maybe,
yeah. But you see,
I mean, Air. I just think about the thinness, and I sell it that. But if it's expensive,
Ultra
and
to me
super
feels
luxe,
like it needs to have all of the features, right? Like all of them, and it's not going to.
Right.
So, going to be really intriguing to see if they do this and how they pull it off.
And the rest of this, like a center camera and stuff like that. I mean, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't know. We know that they work in advance, and that often these weird rumors from the summer before, like the previous year, do end up being right. And sometimes it's the details. Remember, I'll remember iPhone math. Sometimes the details are not quite right.
Yeah, I don't think
Slim
Slim is the name. I really don't think Slim is the name.
But it's really interesting to think about. And I think, look, Apple spent the last, 5, 6, 7 years, really 10 years since they did the larger phone for the first time, experimenting with iPhone sales dynamics. It's their most important product. It's more than half of their total company revenue. And they've had some success in differentiating the product line, but clearly there's this one model that has not. They feel like they haven't cracked it. So I think they're absolutely going to continue experimenting here and finding what the market wants. And if they have the capability to make this, I think that's the most interesting thing about this rumor, honestly, is it sounds like it comes out of a question of like, we could make a phone that's appreciably different, next generation phone that's thinner, but it'll have some compromises, and where does it fit? And we don't really and it'll be expensive to make. And then out of that emerges, well, why don't we just make that future phone and people will buy it because it's awesome, even though it's super expensive? That's an interesting idea. So the experiments continue.